Hello.
Let's play a game.
We are going to play an example game of No Stone Unturned. It is a game that I wrote, that I'm Adam, that Sasha here illustrated and is editing. But we wanted to just have a little sample video because we're putting it up for Zine Quest. Zine Quest 2, to be specific, here February 2020. We'll be running a Kickstarter campaign to get this thing that we printed out with a regular printer printed to be a proper zine with a nice red cover, all that. So, No Stone Unturned is a tabletop role-playing game for 2 to 6 players is what I would say. Obviously, we have 2 right now because we're the people that made it, and also that's way easier to organize a filming session with just 2. Mm-hmm. And it'll be easier to just show very basically what the game is about and how it plays. So we're not going to be too elaborate with this. We're just going to play the game, play one brief session of it. So normally this could be played as a longer one-shot or like 3 to 5 sessions. We're going to do a shorter one-shot, so we won't get too far into this story or anything, but we will play the game, and that's maybe what you're here to see. After the world inevitably fell, people built a new one from its ashes. Time passed, and eventually this new world crumbled and was rebuilt once more. Some say this cycle is just the natural order of things. The people left after a collapse never agree on everything that went wrong. They lead their descendants to correct some of the errors that led to collapse while repeating many of the others. We are about to create a story that features characters living in a world unrecognizable to our own. Their society is starting to pick up the pieces after one of these cyclical crises. Natural catastrophes, man-made disasters, and maybe even external influences have caused collapse after collapse, but humanity has somehow hung on. Remainders of each of these civilizations and artifacts of their downfalls lurk hidden throughout the world. Enough time has passed that many settlements have stabilized and are now looking to expand and explore what is around them. The characters that we will play live in one of those settlements and are tasked with exploring the world around the settlement and acquiring what resources and knowledge that can be found. While that may sound like a noble cause, the world around them is populated by other societies, recovering wildlife, unstable ecosystems, and volatile remnants from disasters past. If these adventurers aren't careful, their actions will endanger their neighbors as well as their own homes. Because this is an extemporaneous storytelling game, we don't know what's going to come up ahead of time, so it's good to maintain a level of comfort and safety and a way for people to eject. So what we're going to be using is the X card. This was provided by... this was original... Whatever. Who gave this to us? What was their name?
The publisher's name? So that specific card.
We're using this specific X card, which was given to us by Hajduk Publishing, who is also, I think, these are going on Zine Quest, so look for that. So yeah, let us begin. The first step is to discuss broadly, starting with a brief discussion on what the post-apocalypse setting should look like, and then also agree on a tone for our game and how we'll be framing scenes. So my idea for this one is that we just start with the fact that it's a cartoon. We've got a cartoon on our hands.
Okay.
I don't know setting wise.
So like
if you have an idea.
Cartoon in the sense of like paint a black hole and run through a tunnel in a wall.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With just like the framing of scenes, the one playtest I did, we realized halfway through that that's what it was, and it was just really fun to frame scenes in very silly ways. And it also takes away some of the like, oh, well, how does that happen? Whatever. It's a cartoon. Things just happen.
Your eyes get really big and come out of your head.
Right.
When you're surprised.
Mm-hmm. Or you zoom into your brain and
Jimmy Neutron is not
see a bunch of... No, not Jimmy Neutron. See a bunch of little U's in there trying to make a decision. It was great. Okay, so what about setting wise besides tonally it's a cartoon.
Tonally it's a cartoon, so goofy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it can still be serious.
It can still be serious,
But
like...
it doesn't have to follow.
Roger Rabbit's, like, semi-serious, but it's still very goofy.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've never seen Roger Rabbit?
No, I've never seen. Nobody's ever seen Roger Rabbit. Nobody has.
That's a complete lie.
Okay.
Setting.
Yeah. So setting, I mean, like, what we could do, like, level of technology as a base for setting. Is this like an agrarian situation? Are we past that?
Let's go past that. Let's have, like, I like goofy tech. Some more...
Is it tech that we've developed or tech that we found?
I think tech that we found.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't rule out agrarian.
That's true.
But it can.
What do you think?
Do you want to rule it out?
I'd like to rule it out.
Okay. No farming. Yeah, you should write that down.
Alright, so tone.
And we're like past standard fantasy time. Like a little bit more advanced. I think that's enough for me.
Scene is past standard fantasy?
Yeah, like it's not... This is not going to be a stand-in for medieval fantasy.
Yeah. So not medieval.
Like a Renaissance era. I don't know what the...
Yeah, you don't know shit. You don't know shit. We got working toilets. You know the working toilet was first conceived in, like, Shakespearean time? First Queen Elizabeth?
Cool.
It was not widely used.
I doubt it.
One.
Okay, we don't need to write
toilet.
that down. It's a one toilet kind of town.
It's a one.
Okay. That's
still figuring out plumbing.
That's a broad discussion. The next thing is to ban story elements.
Okay.
We each get to ban one thing. This is not something that we're uncomfortable with. This is just something that would normally maybe be in a setting like this that we just don't want to deal with. We don't like it. We don't think it'd be interesting, or we think it'd be interesting to exclude it. Whatever it may be.
If you have an idea, go first. I'm thinking.
I never have an idea for this.
Okay.
I'm going to say no nuclear fallout or waste or like, oh, it's scary there because it's glowing. None of that.
Okay. No zombies.
Okay.
Okay. No zombies.
Cool. Next step 3 is drawing the settlement. We're going to collaboratively create the settlement that our characters live in and are venturing into the world to find ways to improve. Place a note card at the center of the table. Mm-hmm. Choose a person to go first and then take turns. On your turn, you'll make a statement about the settlement and draw something to represent that on the index card. Don't worry if you can't draw. Neither can I. Sasha can. The player to your left will then make another statement, either introducing a new fact or further specifying a previous one. Also draw this on the index card. Continue around the table like this until either there is no more room on the index card or two people have decided to pass on their turn. If you pass in one round, you can always add a new idea the next. After a few turns of this, your group will start to get a better picture of how the world works. Keep building on each other's ideas, and shared understanding of where your characters live will come from it. Don't put too much into just one statement. The paved roads form a grid works way better than the settlement is a city, with buildings on every block surrounded by paved roads in a grid shape. Focus on one aspect of life at a time and let the other players branch off from there.
Cool.
You want to go first?
No, you go first.
What? I already went first.
Yeah, you go first again. It's your turn.
Okay.
It's your game.
That doesn't mean I'm good at playing it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say is that there is a row of row houses somewhere in the settlement, and that's where we live. It's the little row houses. And they're nice.
There is a old river running across the settlement. And you can tell that it's old because of the aspens in the river. That's what happens when rivers get old. They make bigger aspens.
Is that true?
Yep, that's true. That is true.
Okay. I'll buy it.
Okay.
On the other side of the river is a factory. Don't laugh at me. It's got a gear on the roof, so you know that it's a factory.
Up here, there are pipes that produce clouds.
What?
There's just some pipes coming out of the ground and they produce clouds.
Like actual clouds?
Mm-hmm.
Like
They produce clouds that go up into the sky. Although it is a little bit cloudy over here.
I would assume there are pipes that are producing clouds.
But there's a lot of clouds that come up here. This is where all the cloud production comes from.
Normal.
Mm-hmm.
There's this set of like train tracks. Don't make faces at me. That are just kind of busted right at the end of town. And then there, yeah, that's it. One thing.
There is
I think it died.
a mockingbird recording facility.
Is that like something that we made?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
One thing.
Yeah, but what do you mean a mockingbird recording facility? You can't just say one thing as an excuse to not answer what the one thing is.
It's a mockingbird recording facility where people go to record music.
And there's just mockingbirds?
Yeah, for the other sounds that you want to get.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't make any sense, but I'll take it.
No, you like tell them what to make. And then they make it.
Big trees.
Mm-hmm.
They're big trees with these long, extended branches, always full of fruit.
Can you eat the fruit?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Can and do.
I think I'm going to pass.
You think that's good enough?
I said I'm going to pass. I didn't say you had to.
Okay.
Do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, we've got like a broken... Not a broken, but like... There's like one of those cars that you have to pump. Train cars.
Oh. Those platforms. I don't know if that really counts as a train car.
You know what I'm talking about? It's just like next to it, but nobody's ever used it.
I think there's some farms out here. Where they grow things to eat.
Cool. I'll pass.
All right, I'll pass.
All right. We have drawn our settlement. And now it's time to define our adventure scope and conditions.
Let's go.
So we're defining the scope of our adventures and how far away the other locations in the world are from our settlement. Think about what conditions of adventures are and whether our characters are well equipped or struggling to get by. This will help color what the locations each player creates in the next step should look like, as well as what our characters will have access to on our adventures. We should write down what we're establishing so that everyone can access it later. The following questions will help us guide in defining our scope, but are not a complete list. You can go beyond. How long does it take to travel around the world?
I think you can travel like, oh, I don't know.
Do we have any means of travel, or is it just going to be hoofing it or taking the river?
Probably taking the river or hoofing it. Do we have like horses or anything?
I don't know. I like the idea of it being a river-based thing.
Yeah.
Like if we're going somewhere, we just get on a boat and go up or down river.
Mm-hmm. So either walking or going up and down the river.
Right.
So we can go as far as the river takes us, essentially. Or walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it would probably be a couple of days river travel to the nearest place.
Yeah.
Is the surrounding area dangerous or easy to traverse? And it can be both. It can be both dangerous
Yeah, I think both.
and easy.
I think just like strange.
What's weird out there?
Yeah, it's weird out there.
So like our home is like the most normal place we could find?
Yes.
Okay.
And there are cloud factories there in our home.
And that helps?
I don't know. Can we ride clouds?
Can we?
Yes.
What do you mean, yes? Where was that a second ago? We were talking about traversing the world.
Okay,
No, we can't ride clouds.
We can't ride clouds.
We just established that we ride the river boats.
We can't ride clouds. We can't.
All of a sudden, we're Locky twos. Do people generally need to eat and sleep? If so, how often? What do they eat?
They need to eat fruit and vegetables. They need to sleep occasionally.
Not as much as us?
Not as much as us.
Okay.
I don't know if they need to eat as much as us either.
Sleep.
So like they do, it is a necessity, but it's not as constant as our terrible flesh bodies.
Yeah, bad bodies.
Why bad bodies?
What can we assume our characters will be carrying? Will they have swords? Will they have like ropes?
Ropes. General.
Just like a backpack full of useful stuff.
Yeah, I think useful stuff, especially like for river travel, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe. Definitely ropes. Probably floaties.
Yeah, I mean we don't have to get specific, but like stuff that what you would need to be on a river.
Yeah, what you would need.
I think it's not super. It's probably not super common to have something like a sword.
I think so.
They're not unheard of.
Yeah.
Some people have cool swords, but it's not like part of the standard kit.
No. Maybe scissors.
Everybody's got a knife.
Everybody's got a knife.
You can't be on a boat without a knife.
True.
This is not done.
It's not done. What if you need to cut yourself loose? It's just not done.
What's the general level of technology available to the settlement? We've got a factory.
We got a factory.
I don't know what they make.
Neither do I. We have a Mockingbird recording facility.
Yeah, I still don't understand what that is.
They make little records.
Sure.
But most of the sound instead of like a clicky board that you use that lights up, what are they called? Little button things that people use to make bass beats and stuff like that.
Like a drum machine?
Yeah.
Like an 808?
Yeah, like an 808. Instead of that, it's Mockingbird. It's Mockingbird.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is the general level of technology available to the settlements? Were you about to say 2?
No.
Level 2?
Level 3 out of 5.
Level 2 technologists.
Level 3 out of 5.
That literally couldn't mean less.
It
couldn't mean it. We talking like 1920s? Like 1910s? Like 1810s? Like 1710s?
When was the car made?
Like 1920s?
Before that.
Like an 1800s level then.
When was the first phone made? I think like... What?
Do you, the listener, know when the phone was invented?
I mean, somebody definitely does. It's not that. We learned that in school.
Yeah, but nobody knows the date. Like,
yeah, somebody does. Because then the man stole it from that other man, right? It was like a Thomas Edison esque.
Don't talk shit about Alexander Graham Bell.
You're not related.
It's true.
Look at all. You're not related.
You don't know. While Italian inventor Antonio Meucci is credited with inventing the first basic phone in 1849, Frenchman Charles... I was about to say 1850. I swear to God, I should have said it. I should have written it down. Alexander Graham Bell won the first patent for the device in 1876. A full 20 plus years later. So 1800s.
1800s. So yeah, okay, so like 1800s level technology. So like you got basic necessity type.
Right. The luxuries of the modern lifestyle are beginning to emerge.
Yeah. And then I think maybe rarely there's more oddities like cloud making factories or Mockingbird.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's about repurposing things that were here already.
Yeah. So maybe also like a little bit, so maybe like 1800s, but like a little bit more on like the Terry Pratchett side of technology. Like again, there's Mockingbirds that will record your voice messages for you.
Right.
There's like if you want to take a picture, there's like a little person or an imp or whatever drawing inside of the camera.
I mean, it is a cartoon.
It is a cartoon, which Terry Pratchett this world very much is.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is how do people get around? I think we covered that.
Remember that.
Boats.
Mostly river or walking.
Hoofing it.
Hoofing it.
What's the day-night schedule like? How often do the seasons change?
Well, at least in our settlement, it's fairly cloudy.
Yeah, I feel like...
So kind of rainy.
Well, the cloudy... I think the cloud factory implies some level of environmental control.
Yeah.
Having been done here, so maybe it's just always 50s and rainy.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Anyways. What's next? What were we on?
Day-night schedule.
Day-night schedule.
Seasons changing.
Alright, so we got seasons. It's mostly the same. Temperate. Rainy.
Can you maintain contact with your home settlement while adventuring? Do we have any sort of comms?
Yes.
How?
Mockingbirds.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, there's too far.
Ew.
These are recording mockingbirds.
Yeah, they record it, and then they...
This is not maintaining contact. This is sending, like, a message. Maintaining contact. I mean, we could say that that's true, but, like, I do want to draw a line in the sand that, like, that's not a radio. That's...
Do we have radios?
I don't know. No?
No. All right, then no. Then I think like Mockingbirds is the...
We have essentially a carrier pigeon, but instead of writing a note, it just goes...
Yeah. I think...
And then we know what that means.
Yeah. Is this our language? That's
it. That's the only thing we can say. All right.
Great.
I think that's
Let's
good.
play. All right.
The next step, which if you've ever played a cool game called The Quiet Year, you'll know what this is. We're going to create scarcities and abundances. Each player is going to name a resource that's important to our community. If we're playing with less than 5 people,
which we are,
collectively establish a couple more resources until we have 5 total. And then we're going to decide one of these that's in abundance and mark the rest as scarcities. One of our character's main tasks will be to secure these resources from locations around the world. Note these down on a note card within view of everybody. Alright, so we should each name 2 and then come up with a third one.
Resources.
Or a fifth one. Specialized knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, like history.
That's different.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. All right. I think I'm going to go with sunlight and history.
Okay. I will go with specialized knowledge and...
Yeah.
And... knowledge and community. Okay, so the 4 we have so far are sunlight,
History,
specialized knowledge, community, and a fifth one could be
technology.
Sure.
Kind of ties in with specialized knowledge, but
which of those is the abundance?
so we got sunlight, history, specialized knowledge, community, technology. I feel like community would probably be the abundance.
Sure, I like it.
Yeah, we're all good friends here.
Well, that's not
what community means. We are all...
You don't have to be friends to care about somebody.
No, you don't.
Okay, so that's Scarcities and Abundance. Next is to author locations. So now that you have an idea of the settlement, it's time to build out the surrounding area that your characters will be adventuring in. This is done by creating a map on the table using index cards. You'll each privately be authoring 2 locations that will be out in the world somewhere. Each player takes 2 index cards and creates 2 locations. These can be anything: a cave system with mysterious artifacts inside, a populated city, a haunted mansion, whatever you might want to see in play. The only rule here is that you cannot contradict facts that were established in the settle building phase or use story elements that were banned. While doing this, you can chat and further clarify the world, but don't show anyone your cards. So the things that you're going to do are draw what's here, write a short description of the place. You're going to draw an 8-piece pie chart in the corner. This will be the collateral clock at the location. Write a few words underneath it describing what at this location can be harmed if the characters interfere here. Examples could include animals or people that live here, the social structures of the population that are here already, a food or water source for local or regional inhabitants, etc. Also write briefly what type of danger might lurk here. Monsters, nature, people who are resistant to your goals, etc. And then finally write what type of treasure or knowledge might be found here. Examples could include troves of ancient knowledge, artifacts from a civilization past, a population that could be your allies, something to address one of your shortages or scarcities at home, something that helps solve a mystery that came up at the settlement, anything that the characters may want to collect or absorb into their society works here. So as a recap, I'm going to write collateral clock and the thing that we can harm by stomping around. You're going to write a danger, something that can hurt us while we're stomping around, and a reward or treasure. The reason that we would go there in the first place. Okay, so the next step, we have both just authored our locations, and the next step is to arrange them into a map. So we're going to mix up the created locations, so mix those up.
They're mixed. They have been mixed.
This will be our map and represent where places are with respect to each other. If we want to have to pass through locations to get through others often, create a pattern to represent that, and define the paths you'll need to take to get from card to card. Here's what I was imagining.
What were you imagining? Oh, goodness.
So, like, you have to go
On
through
the
this one to
river.
get to that one. You
Yeah.
gotta go through this one to get to that one. It's
Yeah.
just the river.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but that
Oh, that works. The next and final step.
of world building is to assign danger and reward levels.
Okay. How do we do
So now that we have a map of the surrounding area, boom,
it? Ta-da.
we will roll dice for each card to see how dangerous and how rewarding the locations will be for adventurers. So roll 2 4-sided dice for each one. We'll say the blue one is the reward and the pink one is the danger.
Danger.
And we're going to do that for each of the cards and then write down.
This is... What did we say the blue one was?
Blue one was reward.
Reward?
So we've got a 3 and a 1, so that one's going to be
Danger.
R3, D1.
I'm going to move up here. Which is a 4 and a 3.
It's dangerous out there. While Sasha's doing that, I will just address what those are. It's later. So the danger level gives a guideline for how perilous it should feel to be in an area. Typically, in an area with higher danger, you'll be assigning harm details when players lose rolls more often. So it goes from D1 being you can avoid the worst of the danger by being careful, wildlife is reserved and defensive, and people who live here tend to give you the benefit of the doubt, to a D4, which is most things in the area are hostile to you. The consequences for improperly engaging are great. Wildlife won't wait for a reason to strike, and you must work hard to prove that you are trustworthy to any people. And then reward is similar. It indicates how useful treasures and knowledge gained in an area will be. The below descriptions indicate how easy and useful a location's reward will be if it's fully acquired. So again, this goes from R1, which is the reward here is scattered, encoded, broken, or otherwise difficult to access. Mechanically, it'll take a long-term project to utilize the reward properly. At best, this reward, combined with completing a long-term project to unlock it, will move a scarcity to neutral, not abundance. But then at R4, a reward 4 can move a scarcity to abundance if fully recovered and taken back to the settlement. The thing that can be found here is very useful and very usable. What do we have?
We have reward 2, danger 1. So semi-low reward, but also low danger. Reward 1, danger 4. Up here we have reward 3 and danger 1. And then over here we have reward 3 and danger 4.
Okay, the final step before we can start playing properly is to create characters. So, and that'll probably be the last thing in this video, and then we'll move to the second video for the actual gameplay, just so it's easily broken up. Character creation is similarly several steps. We'll just go through them all at once, and then we'll probably come back, introduce our characters, and end the video. So, characters are made up of several different elements. Some of these elements will be decided now, and others will be discovered through play. Take a character sheet and fill in the fields described below. First is choose a name. Come up with a name for your character. You can either do this now or wait until the end. Next is to define your character's pronouns and describe what they look like. Are they human? What kind of clothes do they wear? And the next part is to pick 3 moods. Choose 3 moods your character is most often experiencing while they adventure. Examples can include feckless, angry, joyous, jealous, ambivalent, or curious, but really any moods that you're interested in role-playing will do. Assign 1 mood to a D8, 1 to a D6, and 1 to a D4 on your character sheet. When you make an action roll while playing the game, you'll be using the die granted to you by the mood your character is acting from. A bigger die roll doesn't always mean better. If your actions have a chance to harm you, rolling a bigger mood die will mean you're more likely to get hurt. However, if your action is more likely to damage the environment, a bigger mood die means you are more likely to succeed and avoid these complications. Thus, you should choose a D8 mood as the one your character acts from when they're taking care not to damage the world around them, and the D4 when they're more protecting themselves. The D6 will be somewhere in between. These 3 moods are not every possible mood that your character can experience, obviously. And to represent that, there are 3 slots left open at character creation, and during play you can assign a new one if the currently listed ones do not fit how your character is feeling. You've already gotten started. The next step is to assign your aspects. Aspects are like stats in other games. So assign body, mind, and heart to the D4, D6, and D8 based on how your character performs certain tasks. Body is used for feats of athleticism and might. Mind lends you the ability to think quickly and call on a breadth of knowledge. Heart represents your ability to connect with others and push through difficult situations. As mentioned in the mood section, bigger does not always mean better. The aspect dice are the opposite. A bigger die typically means you're better at protecting yourself using that aspect, but potentially at the expense of your surroundings. The next thing to do is to invent 3 sentiments. So choose 3 things that are important to your character. These could be prized possessions, relationships, ideals, beliefs, or anything that your character holds dear. Try not to have more than one of each of these sentimental categories. For example, have 1 possession, 1 belief, and 1 relationship. Don't have 3 beliefs or 3 relationships. If you want to forge a relationship with another character as one of your sentiments, it's okay to leave a line here blank until everyone has introduced themselves. Mechanically, these sentiments will provide the ability to modify your dice rolls and results at the risk of them being lost to you or corrupted in some way by the world. The final thing that you have to create is 3 skills. So there are 3 actions your character is good at doing from the outset. Examples could be conversation, swordplay, climbing, parkour. Mark them down in the skills section as plus or minus 1 skills. These can be leveled up later and new skills can be added. That's defined later. And then the only other thing that you'll have to do is once you're finished making your character, you want to consider the rumors, because you as a player have written 2 of the locations on the map. Mm-hmm. We just work that in by saying that your character has heard of those places. They don't know where it is on the map or how to get there, but they've heard rumors of a place like that. Mm-hmm. And then we will introduce ourselves and can get started playing. Would you like to introduce us to your character?
My character's name is Banjo.
Hey, Banjo.
They use they, them pronouns, and they are tall and big, but slightly hunched over to talk to people shorter than them. And they have very big shoulders and kind of skinny looking legs.
Okay.
So they're kind of shaped like a triangle. Their moods starting out are scared, excited, and curious. They're very good at reading, digging carefully so as not to break things, and they're good at running away from things quickly. Their sentiments are a child's first archaeology tool set, a relationship with their mentor, Fiddle, who encouraged them to ask questions, and they have a belief that all answers can be found to any question.
Cool. My character's name is Bello Broadley, a tall, pale, round fella, always wearing overalls. Goes by he, him. His moods are friendly, jubilant, and alarmed.
Mm-hmm. 3 moods, obviously.
I go mind, body, heart.
Oh yeah, I go mind, heart, and body from D8 to D4.
My skills are jokes, bedside manner, and hoisting.
Like, okay.
My sentiments are nothing better than sleeping in my top bunk at home in the attic.
Wait, why do you have a top bunk in an attic? Never mind.
Love it up there.
I love it up there.
Tallest place in the house. I have a very cool shiny scimitar I found under the river.
Under the river?
Under it.
Like on the riverbed or under the river?
Under the river.
Okay.
And finally, speak friend and enter. Is something I believe.
That's it for the start.
Our world building and setup. Yeah, we're ready to play the game proper.
See you next time, folks.